Pedro Pascal is to be Joel and Bella Ramsey to be Ellie in the Last of Us HBO series. How do you feel about those picks, Mr. Black?
I mean, it wouldn't be my first picks. Pedro Pascal is an amazing actor.
Yeah.
And it will be nice to see him in a series where he can really like flex his acting chops and that he'll actually have a lot of screen time. He was the best part of Wonder Woman. You know, he's as good as I guess you can be in Mandalorian, considering you don't really see his face often.
I mean, he did well in Game of Thrones. Fuck. Don't forget Game of Thrones.
Of course. I mean, I'm just happy he's turning into a bona fide star.
I'm happy he got away from Game of Thrones and not just known for that, you know?
At the same time, we're going into another HBO series and, you know, it's still in that umbrella, right? So
yeah, that's fair.
You know, he isn't too far away from it and he did a great job in it. It's not like Game of Thrones is a bad show by any means. They had a bad season. At the worst possible time, but his character was long gone before that. So he's great at whatever he does. I personally would have loved to have seen Nikolai, whatever his name is, from Game of Thrones, that played Jaime Lannister as the main character.
We talked about him being our pick, I think, a long time ago when this was first rumored.
Because not only does he look the part, like he could have also played a Witcher, but I'm happy they went with Henry Cavill because I think he does. Henry Cavill.
It's Henry Cavill. Yeah.
Because he, I think he does really well. But I think Jaime Lannister was at face value the obvious choice. I'm sure he was probably considered, especially since how many people campaigned for it, and he looks an awful lot like the main character as well. Even somebody like Hugh Jackman would have been a great pick as well, because we basically got Logan, or got Last of Us through Logan. It was a very Last of Us like movie. Taking
care of the young one, basically.
Yeah, and it just like the aesthetics and the rated R and the feel of it was very Last
That might be why they might not have gone that route. Maybe they didn't want it to just look like another fucking Logan movie.
Yeah, well,
he's definitely not my first choice. Like, neither of them look like the parts that they're playing. Not that they should have to.
No,
I just like I if you sat me down and said who's going to play Joel, Pedro Pascal was never. I mean, not, and again, like you, I'm not against it. No. He's a phenomenal actor, and he's probably going to crush it. Yeah. But it's just not. He wouldn't have even like.
Yeah, I would have thought Jaime Lannister.
Yeah.
I would have thought Hugh Jackman. I would have thought Gerard Butler. I would have thought like. Those are sort of the main ones that I could just from the type of voice, the type of aesthetic, the way the character looked. But I mean the Nikolai and Nikos, I forget it. I always butcher the dude's name.
That's why we always call him Jaime Lannister.
Jaime Lannister. That guy is picture perfect.
Yeah.
Casting for this, but obviously. They are seeing something that we're not. And also, Pedro Pascal is probably cheap enough, but not like a Henry Cavill expensive. So he's cheap enough. And now even
but he's got some clout now too, right?
Like even then, like when Henry Cavill got Witcher, he was cheap enough, but not like you got to pull up the Brinks truck. Like obviously they had to do that probably in the season 2 or season 3, but you know, to get him in. And Pedro Pascal is at that point in his career where he's a star, he's a household name, but he isn't like grabbing a Chris Pratt or Chris Evans or a Robert Downey Jr. or somebody.
He's a 10 to 15, not a 50.
Exactly.
He's a 10 mil to 15 mil. He's not a 50 mil.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he even gets paid that much.
Well, I mean, for like a movie, but like for HBO, it'd probably be like maybe 5, 7.
Yeah, I mean, he might end up getting paid like $500,000 an episode or something, right? Starting out for season 1. But yeah, I mean,
And hey, let's talk
can't
about
argue with
let's talk
Pedro.
about the Ellie pick. I mean, that would have also. I mean, back in the day, I think everyone realized that Ellen Page, who is now, I apologize, I forget, I did not mean to dead name him, but Elliot was the name that he chose, right? I'm not crazy, but they, I think that was the original thing that when they saw the game, when you saw the game, it was like,
Yeah.
that was the first thing, but that obviously don't go that route. This was not, again, also not the person that in a million years, if you sat me down and said, who do you think is going to take on that role, that I would have ever picked. But at the same time, you know, fuck it. She did a killer job in Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. It's
Yes.
the HBO umbrella, right? So they're
Yeah.
trying to keep it in-house. They
Yeah,
they know these actors and actresses. And I mean, I thought she was great in her role in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Bella Ramsey is her name, yeah.
Yeah, and she was like a fan favorite, you know. So they've got a couple of fan favorites from Game of Thrones in there. She's got some acting chops. You know, and she's got that sass too. We've seen a lot of that in Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, it's not a bad pick. I'm not complaining. And we'll see what they do with it. It's not the Last of Us that I envisioned, but at the same time, I don't want to regurgitate The Last of Us. I got the video games for that.
It
Let's see
might
what they do
actually
with
be a benefit that they don't look like the video game counterparts, because you're going to have preconceived notions of how everything should play out if it's looking exactly like the game, right? So if they if they divert from that just a bit and they don't look the part necessarily right off the bat, maybe it will let you get a little bit more involved in it because you don't want all the same shit. Either way, we both know they can act. They both already know each other. They probably would have seen each other on set a few times. Well, actually, no, they wouldn't have, because he was not there anymore when she showed up. But either way, yeah, great picks on paper. Anyway, great picks on paper.